Welcome back, CruiseHols, or hello if you're new to this channel, where in this video I will give you my guide to the Ibiza cruise port, found in the capital city of Ibiza Town. Ibiza Town, known in the local Catalan language as Villa de Ibiza, is the capital city of the island of Ibiza in the Mediterranean Sea that is home to the island's only cruise port as well. As one of the most popular holiday islands in Europe, the island is quickly becoming a go-to cruise port for many lines and a popular choice for cruisers sailing in the region. The city is well away from the all-action resorts that many associate the island with, so if you've always been put off visiting somewhere such as Ibiza, this guide may help to change your mind, as there is so much more on offer on the island other than bars, beaches and nightclubs, including all of the attractions that can be found in its historic capital city. In this video, I will look at what I believe to be the most important aspects of a cruise port of call, including the attractions on offer at the port, the excursions that can be taken from the port, the facilities at the port, the transportation that's offered and the all-around ease of getting around the port's location, and also the range of cruise lines that visit there. So if that sounds of interest to you, why not give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And also I'd love to hear your thoughts on the port of Ibiza Town if you have visited there yourself. My name is Darren, and this is my rating and review for the cruise port of Ibiza.
Going ashore with Darren.
I was fortunate enough to visit the city in October 2023 on board the Norwegian Prima cruise ship, where I was on a repositioning route between Southampton and Barcelona. The cruise term in Ibiza Town is quite some way from the old town of Ibiza, but we had planned to make the long walk around the harbour, as the shuttle buses were €20 each for me and my wife. They only took you to the edge of the shopping area, which is around a 5-minute drive away, so it seemed a bit excessive to be spending €20 for that. Thankfully, upon doing some research, we found that you can do a boat ride from right next to the cruise port to the heart of the town for just €7. So not only did we get a pleasant boat ride with great views of the town, but we saved money and had less walking to do to get to the fortress that dominates the town. To get to the fortress, you walk through some narrow streets full of bars, cafes and shops until you get to a large ramp up through the city walls. You then walk up some more narrow and winding streets until you reach some steps that take you to the top of the fortress. With it being 30 plus degrees for our visit, it was some effort to make the trek up the hill, but it was well worth it to get the great views you get from up there. And thankfully it's also an interesting walk around the streets of the old town and the fortress hill itself. Once back down at the bottom of the hill, we arrived in the town centre, so we grabbed a quick drink, had a rest on the high street, and then walked back around the harbour to where we picked up the shuttle boat back to the cruise dock. We didn't arrive in the city until the afternoon, so that left us with a late departure from Ibiza, which also gave us plenty of time to sit out on deck and watch the sun go down before setting sail. But what was a great day on shore, in a port I wasn't sure whether I would like or not before I arrived there. One of the best parts of Ibiza Town for me is what we call the Old Town, but what is actually known as Doltvia. It is the historic part of the city that features small winding cobbled streets that are full of shops, bars and cafes, all with apartments above them in the traditional Catalan style. It is a walk through the Old Town that also gives you access to the city's fortress that dominates the entrance into the harbour. Castel de Ibiza's strategic position now gives visitors incredible views along the coast, out into the Mediterranean, and also across the harbour back to your cruise ship. The harbour itself is home to numerous ferries, which are fascinating to watch them load up and sail back and forth to the rest of the Balearic Islands, and also back to the mainland, whilst there are also plenty of luxury yachts to look at. The city's cathedral is also in the Old Town, and offers a peaceful place to get away from the buzz of the city. So whilst not having lots of attractions, but it is a small place so you don't need much to fill the day, it does offer some authentic attractions, and that's always the best for me. So for attractions, I give it a well deserved 6 out of 10. There are a few shore excursions that are offered by most lines when visiting Ibiza Town, including several guided tours around the city itself. The island is known for its vineyards, and cruisers can head off to explore a nearby one, including some where you can try the local produce. If you do want to head out and see more of the island, most lines will offer full island tours, either on coaches, or you can do small group ones on a minibus to see more of what you want to see. But arguably the best way to see the natural beauty of Ibiza is to head off on a 4x4 tour to get to some more of the out of way places. There's also plenty of boat trips that you can take from the harbour, and if you're there for a full day or an overnight even perhaps, you could take a ferry to one of the other islands that are found nearby. So whilst there are some options, there's none really that were good enough to drag me out of the city itself, so I'll give it a 5 out of 10. There may be one for you though. The cruise port in the city is also a ferry terminal, so despite not being a turnaround port, there are plenty of services on offer, including a gift shop, a tourist information desk, vending machines, an ATM, toilets, the shuttle boat right next door, and plenty of parking space for tour buses to pick you up from right outside where you exit. It's also air conditioned, which is helpful. So for somewhere that most will be just passing through on their way off to exploring, it offers everything you need, so for the facilities at the terminal, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Whilst there are some local services in the city, they are mostly to get people from the town centre to housing areas and adjust bus routes. From the port terminal itself, I'd recommend taking the local ferry boat across to the old town, but if you are on a line that offers free shuttle buses, that's also an option, and if it's a paid one, you could take it if you wanted, but I would really recommend the ferry boat. If you want a quicker way in and out of the old town, outside of the cruise terminal there were plenty of taxis. So whilst there are options, it's not great and there's no mass metro system. So for getting around Ibiza Town, I can only give it a 4 out of 10. The cruise terminal in the city is located on the far eastern side of the harbour that Ibiza Town is built around, but sadly the bulk of attractions and the old town itself is located on the western side of the harbour. It is around a 3 kilometre or 45-minute walk to the start of the old town from the cruise terminal, and about an hour walk from the old town walls and fortress. So whilst it's a great location for the views that it offers, as you are looking right across the harbour to the town, it does make it a little bit awkward, especially for those with mobility issues. Although again, there was the really expensive shuttle bus service offered by our cruise line. So when it comes to the location, I give it a 6 out of 10. Decent, but could be better. As a port of call only, you cannot start or end your cruise in the city, but there's still plenty of options. There are plenty of round trips from the UK and from most major ports in the mainland Europe. And you can also do lots of repositioning cruises that call in there, as it does sit in one of the most popular cruise areas in the world, the Mediterranean Sea. That also means that most cruise lines operate in the area, and most will also call into the port. That gives it a great range of big ships and small ships to choose from, and also new and old ones. But best of all, the chances are that if you have a favourite cruise line, it will visit Ibiza Town. So when it comes to the choice of lines, it gets a well-deserved 7 out of 10. So overall, Ibiza Town's a decent place to call into. It's big enough to spend a day exploring, but not so big that you feel like you're missing out on things. It has a decent range of attractions, but they are all similar, and there is opportunities to go off exploring on excursions, but again they are a little bit limited. With a good choice of lines, good facilities and a good port location, there are plenty of pluses to visiting Ibiza Town, and it gets an overall 5.8 out of 10, which is about average for a cruise port, and that's about right after visiting there. So all that remains to be said is thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my rating and review of the Ibiza Town cruise port, and see you next time.